we're gonna get started here with our first act.
Gary Flinn.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an honor and pleasure to introduce you to Flint's very own historian, Mr. Gary Flint, please.
Thank you, Mark. I'm hard at work on my next book, of which I've been sharing bits and pieces here for the past few months or so. Lost Flint. This is a book of which I'm writing this from scratch. My previous two books, Remembering Flint, Michigan and Hidden History of Flint, were adapted by pieces that I wrote for publications. But this book I'm writing from the ground up. Last month I talked about the lost General Motors plants in the Flint area. Today I'm going to talk about a half dozen other lost industries, roughly in the order that they closed. First, the DuPont Flint plant. In 1901, the Durant Door Carriage Company founded the Flint Varnish Works to supply paints and finishes for the company, with J. Dallas Dort as its president. In 1909, the company became independent of Durant Dort and was renamed the Flint Varnish and Color Works, with William W. Mountain as general manager. In 1910, Flint Varnish began supplying paint for the automotive industry after expanding into a three-story factory, which also served the railroad industry. In 1913, the company increased its capitalization to $1 million, and Mountain was chosen as the new president while continuing as general manager. At that time, business had doubled in the past few months. Dort continued serving as a director, and General Motors President Charles W. Nash became a director. In 1918, DuPont acquired control of the company, with Mountain continuing as president and general manager. Over the years, the DuPont paint factory would expand outward to St. John and Wood Streets and absorb the Marvel Carburetor Company, as well as an old brewery. The factory also had a specialty plant which produced Raleigh and No. 7 products, as well as Duco cement. But in 1985, rival finishes supplier PPG Industries established a coatings campus in Flint after becoming a paint supplier for GM. A decade later, DuPont purchased a large paint plant in Mount Clemens from Ford Motor Company, and the resulting consolidation led DuPont to close its historic plant at 1555 James P. Cole Boulevard across Hamilton Avenue from New York City in 1995, and it was demolished shortly afterwards. Thanks go to the families of DuPont Flint plant workers who contributed their memories to the You Know You're From Flint Facebook page. Now, the next lost industry is the Flint Sausage Works, maker of Saley's Meats. In 1916, Emil Saley Sr. moved to Flint from Sonoma, California, settling at 1210 Avenue A, where he founded the Flint Sausage Works with his wife Mary that year at the same address. By 1923, he had built up enough business to move the Flint Sausage Works to its long-time address at 1517 St. John Street, just south of the DuPont paint plant. For several decades, the company, which produced Saley's meat products, was a rival to Cocoa Meats. The Saleys had 7 children. Emil Saley Jr. was just a toddler when the Flint Sausage Works, also known as Saley Inc., was established. His entire working career would be with Saley's Meats, eventually becoming president and CEO of the company. When James P. Cole Boulevard was developed on the west side of the Flint River, replacing sections of St. John Street, the Flint Sausage Works wound up located at a dead end north of Wood Street. The younger Saley retired from the company in 2000, living to the ripe old age of 100. Unfortunately, the company he led folded in 2003, making Coco's the top dog in Flint. And now, here's a piece about Helmac Products Corporation. Back in 1955, Nicholas McKay and his wife Helen had the chaperone at a school dance, but Nicholas had forgotten to take a sport coat to the cleaners, so it was covered in lint. But by using a discarded toilet paper roll, masking tape, and a mangled wire coat hanger, he managed to clean the lint off. So in 1956, Nicholas McKay invented the lint roller. At that time, he was business manager for Reliance Electrical and Engineering. He filed for a patent in 1957 and received it in 1963. He and Helen founded Helmac, named after Helen, by 1959. By 1962, they had set up shop in downtown Flint at 336 West First Street. By 1968, they moved to a newly constructed factory at 528 Kelso Street. That year, the Helmac lint roller achieved national distribution. By 1973, it was available at more than 60,000 retail locations. In 1993, Harvard Business School graduate Nicholas McKay Jr. joined the company. Under his guidance, additional products were introduced. The lint roller became noticed in the movies, in the 1988 film The Accidental Tourist, and more notably, in Michael Moore's 1989 film Roger and Me. At that time, the Kelso Avenue plant employed around 75 people, but in 1998, the 3M company introduced their own competing lint roller. A brand consultant suggested adding a catchier brand name, and the Evercare brand was adopted. Unable to receive tax incentives in 1999 to expand further, the company moved to Atlanta, Georgia, in the suburb of Alpharetta. In 2004, Butler Home Products of Marlborough, Massachusetts bought the company, and later that year, Nicholas McKay Sr. died on November 15th in Phoenix, Arizona at age 93. The former plant on Kelso Street is now home to automotive supplier Attentive Industries. Now probably the most visible of the Lost Industries locally, McDonald Dairy. When brothers John and William McDonald bought the Independent Dairy Company in 1929, there were 14 dairy firms operating. In 1931, they built the McDonald Dairy Plant on Lewis Street, now Chavez Drive, which expanded numerous times over the years. In 1942, they reorganized the company into a non-profit cooperative eventually owned by the milk producers, with the McDonalds continuing to run the company. John McDonald died in 1947, leaving William in sole command. In 1950, a separate ice cream plant was built at 602 Payne, later North Street. It was eventually torn down for the ill-fated auto world. The company also acquired additional dairies to expand the marketing area. William McDonald retired in 1962. He died in 1979. McDonald Dairy developed financial balance, leading to a $1.82 million loss in 1976 despite record sales. It was sold in 1979 to the Michigan Milk Producers Association. On November 1986, they sold the dairy to Grand Rapids-based Country Fresh Dairy. By 2000, Country Fresh dropped the McDonald brand. The McDonald sign in 2002 was replaced by a Country Fresh sign. The company closed the Flint plant in 2009, where production shifted to plants in Grand Rapids and Livonia. The former McDonald dairy plant was sold in 2017 to C3 Venture Flint, which demolished the older portions of the complex. There are plans for modular housing to be built there. And now for the final lost industry that I have here, lost soft drink bottling plants. In the 1970s, Flint had 4 soft drink bottling plants. Now there are none, as beverages are now shipped to the area and delivered to stores from local distribution warehouses. Flint's best-known local bottling company produced M&S Beverages. It was founded in 1918 by Morris Weinstein and Samuel Buckler, who worked for what is now Faygo in Detroit. They were best known for being the local bottler for 7-Up. The Weinstein family bought Buckler's interest in 1944, and the company was sold in 1969. It came under local ownership again in 1985 when the BFW Bottling Company was established by area car dealers Al Bennett and Mel Farr, along with Detroit attorney Charles Wells. But they were unable to compete effectively with Coke and Pepsi, and it was absorbed in 1988 by a larger 7-Up bottler based in Holland, Michigan, which kept the plant operating until it closed in 1989. Buckler founded the Buckler Beverage Company, which produced Squirt, Dr. Pepper, Crush, and other brands until it folded in 1981. Pepsi Cola products were marketed in Flint as early as 1938, but was not bottled locally until 1966 when the Pepsi bottling plant opened at 500 South April Avenue. By the time it closed around 1995, it was the last bottling plant in Michigan which produced Pepsi products in refillable glass bottles. Today, the old Coca-Cola bottling plant at 2515 Lapeer Road functions strictly as a distribution warehouse. But when it opened at 2515 Lapeer Road around 1937, it replaced the plant on North Saginaw Street. It expanded numerous times over the years, including a 1997 edition, which was built after the old Buckler beverage plant next door was torn down. When the bottling lines were shut down at the start of 2009 at the Coca-Cola plant, that ended production of soft drinks in the Flint area. The reason the plant lasted as long as it did was easy access to the I-69 expressway off Fort Highway. That is also the reason the former plant is now Coca-Cola's distribution warehouse serving a larger marketing area. The other soft drink distribution warehouses are also near expressways. Pepsi Cola at 6200 Taylor Drive in Mundy Township, and 7-Up Flint operating as the American Bottling Company at 7300 Enterprise Parkway off Mount Morris Road in Mount Morris Township. Right now, I'm working on the most ambitious part of Lost Flint yet, Lost Schools. And as you may know, there are a lot of them that were closed from the 1970s onward, and I still have a lot of work to do because some of the closing dates I found were inconsistent when I tried to put them in chronological order. So it's back to the library and the microfilm files, which has Flint Journal articles indexed up through around 1983. So that's what I have for right now, and I thank you very much.
Isn't tonight a special council meeting involving the school board and the next schools that are going to be closed?
Well, let's see, they were talking about closing Eisenhower, Scott, the old Northwestern, which is now Flint Junior High, and Pierce School. However, they were talking about Eisenhower, and looks like they're going to keep it open because the school that would absorb those students, Durant Terry Mott, is not yet ready to absorb the additional students.
Give it up for Mr. Gary Flynn one more time, please. You was talking about schools, right?
Yes.
So, a mother walks to her child's room and she knocks on the door. She says, wake up, it's time to go to school. Kid wakes up and goes, oh, I don't want to go to school. Mother says, why not? He says, I'll give you 2 reasons why. Because the kids don't like me and the teachers don't like me. Mother turns around and says, oh, isn't that so sad? Well, here's why you should go to school. You're 45 years old and you're the principal. Okay. I guess school's back in session.